Hey,
Hey,
best
best friends!
friends!
We're back. What's up? Today we are bringing in a special guest, one of my bestie boos, also from Ariel. I know we keep picking from the same pile, guys, but we told you if you want to be on here outside of our group, then you're gonna have to email or let us
Maybe
know.
you should get in our group.
Get in our group. It's kind of a fun culture. I mean, you're hearing a lot of fun people. So I'm gonna let Kerri introduce herself quick, and then we'll
Yes.
just jump right in.
It's like, tell me about yourself. And now I freeze. My name is Kerri Borba. I'm a mom of three, married to my husband. Gosh, we've been together 23 years. Um, what else? I'm from California, originally grew up there. That's where my parents are from. We moved to Texas. I'm now in Texas. I just tell people I'm a Texan because I just love it here. We've been here like 5 years. Um, I don't
I
know.
think
Oh, I'm from
I know.
Ariel,
I'm gonna help
obviously.
you out, Carrie. I
So
think
hard to tell
one
you what you're
thing,
about.
some of the people who are following the podcast will either hear this audio or they will see this. For those that don't see this, I want you to understand, and those that hear this, as you're hearing this, I want you to accept that Carrie is a force. She is
Hmm.
an entire she takes over a room when she enters it. And I want people to understand that she has been through some things that should have derailed, dismantled, and destroyed her.
Hmm.
And to see such a smile on her face every time I see her,
She's my little Care Bear friend.
that's that's a powerhouse. And that's why I want you to
Yes.
be excited about her story because it is powerful and it is going to show you maybe that you can get through whatever the hell's going on because Carrie made it.
You're already making her cry.
Hey,
I'm like,
that's my
stop it.
job. It is.
Don't worry.
It's
I'm really good at making myself cry, so it's fine.
It's true though. Like if you guys can't see her, she's this little Minnie Mouse, okay? But she is covered in tattoos, almost head to toe. And she's a force. So, anyways, we're excited that you're gonna share with us. So we're honestly just gonna jump right in, guys. We're not gonna waste
yeah.
any more time. So, Carrie, take it away, girl. Where you want to start in your story?
Okay, I feel like everybody always sees me and they're like, "Oh, you're so happy, you're so bubbly, like you just must have had the best life." And like in the scheme of like stories, I think I had a really great life. Like my parents are still married to this day, like 50 something years.
Dang.
I have an older brother who I have a good relationship with. Like I grew up in a decent town. I mean, every town has its problems, but like
Yeah.
generally
Right.
speaking, I grew up on like a good side of the neighborhood, like I put that in air quotes because like everybody knows if you've been from a town, there's a good side and a bad side,
Yep.
Right.
whatever.
Yep.
So like in the scheme of like we had like decent amount of money. I wasn't lacking. We had food, like in the scheme of like life, I had it pretty freaking good
Okay.
on the outside
All right. Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
because I had a lot of confidence issues growing up. Like, and I've dived into this like a lot to try to figure out exactly where it came from. And I haven't put a pin. I don't think it's always one thing. It's like that
Yeah.
one thing that changed
yes.
me. I think it was kind of a few things. I got picked on a little bit. My dad worked out of town a lot, so he wasn't around as much as he would have loved to be.
Yeah.
Like there's a bunch of little things that play into everybody's story,
Hmm.
but I had low confidence and it tied into the friends that I picked. It tied into the choices that I made. And
Yes.
I was always seeking like me, love me,
Hmm.
like I think everybody wants to fit in, but like I wanted to fit
You
in,
were looking
like
for
Yeah.
validation. Yeah.
yes, in the wrong places, right? And
Yes.
like as now we're adults, we're like, oh, that was not right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you're like, this is the way to do it.
Yep. Yep.
It's the
And
worst because
so,
we only learn that lesson when it's too late for us to teach it to ourselves.
I
A
know.
lot.
It's
right.
too late.
Right. And so I try to teach it to my kids now, and I'll get into that too, I feel like. But it kind of got, I think the worst was probably in high school because that's where like you're really trying to become who you're going to be,
Hmm.
like, and I feel like I was trying to force it quicker than most. I got my first tattoo at like 15 in somebody's kitchen. Like,
Dang.
Whoa.
don't recommend that, but
Don't do that
like,
at home,
Mm.
kids.
because I
He
wanted it
definitely
so
wasn't
bad. And
licensed.
yeah, yeah, he definitely was not.
What
And I
was your
started.
first tattoo?
It's a little Chinese symbol that means happiness. My
Okay.
family is Chinese on my mom's side.
And you're
So,
sure it means happiness, right?
yep, 100%. I
Doesn't
checked with
mean
my grandpa.
number one
Okay,
combo.
good.
Nothing like that. All right.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It definitely means happiness. I confirmed that with my grandpa, who
Good.
actually is Chinese,
Okay.
no longer with us. God bless him. But yeah, it definitely meant that. But just ran. I was partying at an early age. I was drinking at an early age.
Mm,
I started doing, party drugs and things like that. And it was all out of low confidence, social anxiety,
yeah.
feeling like everybody's looking at me, everybody's judging me, when like we know now that nobody gives a crap what we're
Right.
doing.
Right?
Everyone
But
else is
then
thinking the exact same thing.
Right?
literally it's so wild too because I have a 17-year-old. And so like seeing her talk about things and I'm like, I'm trying to teach her, I'm like, they're not, they don't care. They're not looking at you. They're not. I was like, are you looking at that? You don't care about what they're doing. She's like, yeah, I don't. But like at that time, I didn't have somebody telling me that.
Yep.
It was just me. My
Yep.
brother could have cared less. He's,
Yeah.
older, he's doing boy things. Like he's like, you're fine, And
May
so
I
go ahead.
I'm asked one thing, and it just
Yeah.
hit me because of the high school experience. Now, Dawn was completely homeschooled,
Professional.
never went to public school. I went to public school. What was your experience? And do you have an opinion on whether that was good, bad, or indifferent for her, as opposed to, I think you went to public school, us going
I
to public
did.
school?
I don't know. So when I was growing up, like the homeschool kids were like isolated and like the weird
We
ones,
are
right?
weird.
And like to a degree, I see that, but it's so different now. So like it's
Yes.
hard to pinpoint what's
There
good
are
and what's
some weird
bad.
homeschoolers,
That's
okay? There's
really,
some
really valid,
really
but
weird homeschoolers.
homeschooling has evolved.
It
So it's
has.
very different. So it's
I
each
know.
person, each parent.
It's always hard
Exactly.
because people would ask me that question. Did you ever miss going to public school? And I'm like, I didn't know public
Yeah.
school. Like, I didn't have that experience. So I can't even tell you if that was good or bad. Like, I
Yeah.
just know my experience. So, yeah.
Exactly. And
Anyway.
like growing up too, it's like all the kids that were homeschooled, their parents were considered hippies. And now I'm like, out of all my friends, I'm
Yeah.
probably the most hippie,
Put me in,
So I'm
coach.
like,
Put
gosh.
me
Yes,
in then.
I'm in.
And like, I'm 40, I'll be 41 this year. So this was, 25 years ago, things were way different
Yeah.
25 years
Yes.
ago. So like to be the hippie was like,
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now I'm like, please, I want to be the hippie,
Yes.
So
Pretty
I
much.
went to public school, I rode the bus. I eventually rode with friends and stuff, but it was very cliquey, like most high schools are. But I was the one that was like, I'm friends with everybody, like the skaters, the potheads, the nerds,
And that's how you are now too.
Yeah.
I'm still like that. I love people.
Yeah.
Um, there's a little difference now to the way I love people. I have
Yes.
more better boundaries, but back then I just wanted like, just love me. I knew where every party was. I knew where I knew how to get the goods. I knew,
Mhm.
not the good. They're not good now, but you know
Not
what I
the
mean? Back
good.
Right.
then there was good. Um, I
You were the
knew,
connector.
I was, and I loved facilitating that community, getting everybody together and like doing all that. I just didn't do it in a positive
Right.
way.
Yeah.
So because of some of those, negative behaviors and wanting acceptance, I got into some not great relationships. Um, the most significant one, I was with this guy for like 2.5 years, and he was very verbally abusive. But again, then I'm like, but I love him.
At
I
what
can
age
help
was
him.
this?
I was 15.
Dang.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's
man.
like a pivotal
Yes, it
time
is.
in
That's
your
why
life.
I asked.
Yeah, and so it's wild because I think I've really only fully healed from it like within the last 5 years, like been able to kind of let things go more.
Yeah.
Um, where I would
Isn't that
still see
interesting?
things, isn't
Like,
it?
isn't
Like
that interesting? And why do you think that? Why do you think you didn't like heal from it until recently?
it's funny you asked that because I was literally thinking about this the other day. I really think it's because I avoided it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Ooh.
thought if I don't think about it, if I just it's in the past, let it be there, that it's fine, it's done.
Mm-hmm.
That is not how that works.
No.
No.
And so I did a lot, like when I say abusive, like verbally abusive, degrading, God, we were doing lots of drugs, we were drinking a lot, so that doesn't help
And
anybody's
yeah,
self-esteem.
emotions are
I want to
crazy.
I want to say something from a negative side. There was a whole theory for a long time for guys, and it was when I was starting to date and do things like that, that your job was to neg your girlfriend, beat her down into submission so that she would listen to you.
Do whatever you want.
The
Yeah.
first time and the only time I ever heard it, I was like, I don't ever want to hear that. Someone I love is, I never understood that. So that's how I relate to that a little bit, is maybe that's something that they did. And it's the difficulty with verbal abuse is it, you don't really show the bruises outside.
Mm-hmm.
No one sees it.
Yeah.
And
And you
you,
don't even realize what it's doing to you until
no,
all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're like
Yeah, because
you're
then
like a
there's
shell of a person.
Right, because then there's good moments where it's like,
Yes.
oh, but this sweet thing happened, and you hold on to those good
Yes.
moments. And like when I would look back at that relationship, I remember like, oh, but this, and I'm like, ew, but this, but this, but this, but
Yes.
this, you know.
Yeah.
But again, you don't notice that until you're out. And I didn't actually get out until he became physically abusive,
Mm.
and I was kind of forced out, like, and I'll explain that, but like it was the best thing that happened. Because the night that he punched me was at a party and
Mm.
like in front of people. And then I like left. I was like, oh my God, that just happened. I left to go find my brother because I'm like, I need help.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was gonna be done. Like, okay, my brother chased him away. Like he left. Um, but my brother told my parents.
Mm.
And that was the worst, best thing to happen,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like
good for
worse
him.
Yeah.
because
In the moment, you were probably pissed.
oh gosh, I was. So then, restraining orders, court, all kinds of
Mm.
things
Oh,
happen.
wow.
Um, but again, best thing to happen because I was able to get away
Yep.
without reasoning myself back into it, which I had
Yep.
done so many times.
Yes.
Um, and I realized the severity of the toxicity exactly 1 year later when the restraining order was over and he called me.
Mm. Wow.
Well,
Literally was like, hey, do you know who this is? I'm like, oh my God, don't talk to me, you know?
What in the world? You got some balls to
like
call
that
me
scene
after
from
that.
Liar Liar, just
Oh
throw
my.
I
the
would
phone.
I think that was the first time that I realized like what a good person I am. Ooh, I'm
Mhm.
like, that's gonna hit me. I'm like,
Yeah,
no, don't
Say it
cry. I love
louder.
my makeup today.
girl.
Like where I was such a good person, even in a negative situation,
Mhm.
that person wanted me back,
Yeah.
and that was
Yeah.
like
Yes.
huge to be like, but I don't want that back.
Yes. Yes.
Like, whoa, that was a big pivot for me.
I love that.
Um, and shoot, a year later, I met my well, I had already known my husband, but we started kind of dating. And so
Mhm.
that was, we had, some turmoil because I had some past bruises that I would throw onto him,
Yep.
project and stuff. But we worked through our stuff and we've grown up together. I got with him when I was 18. So
And were you still kind of like partying at that point?
yeah, here and there. And I think that's where the rockiness of the beginning of our relationship, because we were still drinking, we would still do some party drugs here and there.
Yep.
And I didn't officially stop that until I had my daughter at 23.
Okay.
So that was kind of when I was like, this is really not working. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
alcohol's really not serving anybody. It's fun in the moment, like, right? Everybody's
Yep.
had, if you're
Yep.
an
Yeah.
adult, I'm sure you've tasted alcohol, you've partied here and there. Like it's fun in the moment. It's never fun after.
Yeah.
No.
The damage
As
it causes. Oof.
mentally, and I didn't really fully understand the damage of alcohol until, I tried to dabble here and there, like, oh, I'll just have some drinks here or there.
Hmm.
And when you now have a child, and you're like waking up hungover on a Saturday and they're like ready to go at 6 a.m. and you're like,
I'm gonna need to make some changes.
Yeah.
yeah, that's really when I was like, this is not working for me. That's the first time that I kind of did a full sober stint where I went like, I don't know, 2 years completely like not a drop of alcohol. Like I didn't even use mouthwash that had alcohol in it. Like, I
Right.
mean, I was
Yeah.
just really like, I really want to just stop and just see how that goes.
Okay.
So that it was kind of like one thing after another, like there was still healing going on. I was doing, I mean, books, podcasts. Like I was really trying to get better, like mentally.
Hmm.
Um, but I think a lot of my changes, like, little things cause changes, right? Like
Hmm.
that relationship, I was like,
Yes.
whoa,
It's
don't
a
want to do that
ripple.
again.
Yep.
Don't want to
Yep.
do that again. And then again, still low confidence. I ended up at, gosh, around 24, was I 23, 24? I ended up getting breast implants.
Okay.
Again, low confidence,
Yeah.
feeling like if I have big boobs, everybody
Yep.
will love
Everyone
me.
will want me. Yeah.
What? And my husband, God bless him, he was anti. He's like, why would you do that? Don't do that. You're perfect the way you are. Good man. He's a good man.
Yep.
But I was like, this is for me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody thinks. But like,
Yeah.
I love when people say that because I'm like, but
Oh, if only
really,
you
I
knew.
think you do.
Please
But
listen.
it was a guise. It was a disguise of I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm doing this for me. But in reality, it was because I cared what other people thought, and
Yes.
I thought people cared that I had small boobs. Like, what?
Yeah. I
It
feel you.
sounds
I
so
get it.
silly.
It
I
does
know it
sound silly,
sounds
but
silly.
this shit that we all think about.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you have small boobs, I'm sure you've gone through that before where you're
Right.
like, if they were bigger, if they were fuller, if they were plumper, if they looked like that over
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
then I would feel good and everybody would like me more.
Yeah. It's so
And
dumb.
that's not how it
No
works.
one's
That's
thinking
not
about
how
your
it works.
boobs, okay?
Nobody,
The
nobody,
word
nobody.
if is probably the most damaging word in the English language to everyone
Yeah.
because we all just hang on it for
Yeah.
no
Mhm.
reason.
If I could do this, if I
Yeah.
had that, if
If
I like,
only, if I had, no, man, you got everything you need, just go.
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sorry.
So you get
So,
the breast implants.
so I got breast implants. Again, seeking outside validation. I did some modeling here and there. Ended up in some magazines, like
And by
cool.
the way, I've seen some of your
I
pictures
was
and
gonna say,
damn, girl.
please don't minimize that.
Not
Ended
minimizing
up in
it. She
some
was
magazines. Shut up.
I-
Carrie,
it's awesome.
I'm okay to say this with my wife. Carrie is stunning. A
She is.
stunning woman.
Not just
She
like
is,
physically, but she has like an aura and energy.
yes.
I hope you guys get to see this on YouTube. Like,
Yeah.
Carrie really is sunshine.
She is a supermodel with Care Bear energy.
Yeah.
The type of person that is just, it's hard to approach, but you're so thankful you did.
Yeah. Anyways, we just had
Well,
to.
it's funny, like little quick backstory on that is like I always wanted to be a model. I loved runway
I did too.
fashion. I love my mom like sews. Like I was in a fashion show with her in like
Nice.
Pasadena, California in like God, I don't know. I was like 3, like
Oh.
in this homemade outfit, like just fun stuff. I'i've always been into it. I've always
Now
been
I
into
know
makeup.
why you and I jump in every picture. We have
Yes.
always wanted to be in the pictures. We're like,
Yeah. And like my mom is a cosmetologist, so I've always loved makeup and fun hair and fun
Yeah.
nails and like just like it's
Yeah.
just fun. Okay. It's just fun. And so um I even went to modeling school for like
Oh.
6 months when I was
What
like
is-
15.
tell us in a
14
nutshell,
maybe.
what is modeling school?
Yeah, describe that.
Oh gosh, I don't even know if they exist anymore, but like they teach you like proper makeup to like fit your face and like but natural and like they
Mhm.
teach you how to walk on a runway. They teach you proper posing, like
Hmm.
different random things like and that's why for like years I would always like do it like suck in my stomach and do a certain
Yeah.
pose when I would go into a photo. Like I still sometimes catch myself and I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah, that's
Um,
funny.
and so like I've always kind of wanted to. So I was like, oh, now I got these big old boobs. Of course I can be in any picture I want and I'll just be a model. And it was fun, but again, it didn't really give me what I thought it would. You know, I was
Mhm.
like, oh, that's why I just diminish it because I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, I was in a magazine, but like, who cares? Like, it's not that big a deal. It really isn't. Like,
Right.
we see
Yeah.
these things, and I think, oh, if I could just model, if I could just be an actor, if I could just be that is not where the
Mhm.
happiness comes from.
Mm-mm.
And I didn't realize it until I did it. And I'm like, I was on a cover of a magazine in Japan, and I was in this, and
Yeah.
I have this, and I'm like, but I don't really care.
But you were
Yeah.
still not finding, you weren't finding the
The
thing
joy
to
that you
really,
want.
yeah, the
Yeah.
peace, the joy.
Yes. And so, gosh, it was probably a few years later, I had my second daughter. So they're 6 years apart. So this is, kind of time jumping
Yep.
here, but I started feeling just off, like more than just like, oh, postpartum or,
Yeah.
oh, I'm getting older, which is what my doctors were like, well, you're getting older. And I'm like, I'm not that
I'm
old,
not that
am I?
old.
Like,
Yeah, and at that point, you're like, you said 30, right?
Were
yeah,
you
I was
30 yet?
30.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not
Mhm.
old.
Yeah. But doctors, man,
Right.
that's a whole nother podcast. But
Yeah.
and so I was just like, I just didn't feel like it was just an age thing.
Mhm.
So I did the recommended stuff. I dove into health and fitness. I mean, I worked out every day, no matter what. I followed every meal plan you could think of. I went
Hmm.
completely vegan in the pursuit of health. Like I did it all.
Oof, you're stronger than I am.
Well, I
Mhm.
just felt, you ever feel like, or I'm sure you have, like right before you get the flu, where you're kind
Yeah.
of just
Uh,
like, oh man, I
Yeah.
think I'm about to be sick. Like I
Yes.
think something's off. I
And that's
felt
just
like
how
that
you always felt.
all the time.
You.
I mean, I was drinking like 64-ounce Dr. Peppers to get through the workday. Okay. Like
Jeez.
this, I worked at a high school, by the way. So like you gotta be on your game.
Dang. Yeah, you
Yeah.
need some energy.
So I mean, like even the guy at the liquor store or the gas station where I got my soda, like gave me a discount because I came in so much. Like it was bad. And
yeah,
that
got
was
that
like,
too
I
when
had
you were
that
going
too.
to
We got that
coffee.
rewards program.
yeah, Red Bulls and
Get
Dr.
the
Pepper.
diabetes.
Like that's how I got through the day. And I'm like, this probably isn't right. Like I'm
Yeah.
eating really good.
Yeah.
I'm
And I
the
still
epitome
feel
of
this way.
health and I feel like crap.
How long did you do
Um,
that for?
that was about, I think 4 years I was doing that.
Dang,
And yeah,
you endured this for 3 to 4 years. Wow.
just thinking like any
Yep.
minute.
Someday.
Dang, it's
Yeah.
crazy what we get comfortable in our bodies, right?
And I had blood tests done. Like, God, I've had so many blood tests. And every time they're like, you're fine. You're so
And
healthy. Like,
no one considered the breast implants this whole.
nobody did. And the one thing that did it was I met somebody.
Mm,
Hmm.
And I'm like, it's somebody who I looked up to. I was in before Ariel, I was with like a fitness
hmm.
company.
Yeah.
And so she was there too. And so she's telling her story and she's telling me how she healed and like all the things she went through. And I'm like, this lady's like telling my story. Like, what
Yeah.
is going on? Like, it just felt so weird, like
Yeah.
that song by Lauryn Hill that I can't think of the lyrics right now, but anyways, it doesn't matter. I'll think about it later.
When you think of it, we'll pop it back in.
Yeah. And I was just like, what changed? Like, oh my God, you're eating good. You're doing all the things I'm doing. Like, what
Yeah.
really changed for you? And she was like, I took out my breast implants. And I was like,
Did you
what?
have a light
Like, oh
bulb
my
at that moment? Like,
Oh.
holy shit.
it wasn't really a light bulb. It was more like am I allowed to cuss? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Go
It was
cuss.
for
like
it.
I
a
don't
whole
Yes.
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like
Yeah.
literally I was like, and I was like, no, no,
Mm.
that's not it. Absolutely not. So literally
Not
I
me.
denied it. I denied it for probably a good year
I probably would
of
too.
like,
Now I'm
it
not getting
can't.
rid of my boobs. I
I'm like,
paid
I
for
spent
these.
a lot of money on those things,
Yeah.
like, and I was like, it can't be that. Obviously, it can't be that. That's silly. Like maybe it's this. And well, let's not eat gluten. And like maybe
Yeah.
it's definitely the alcohol. We should definitely never
Yep.
have that again. Like I was in denial. I was in denial for sure. And then, I feel like God upstairs, he's really guided me on a lot of stuff. Cause then literally probably almost exactly a year later, I met two more people like back to back that also had breast implant illness.
Universe was trying to shove this in your
Yeah.
face. Like, huh?
Yeah. Universe. Hey.
Literally.
Oh, you know
I
Yeah.
what?
tried to
Like,
tell
Come
you
here.
a year ago.
and so, and two, I was also feeling worse. So that
Mm,
was kind of like,
yeah.
come on, girl.
Time to do something.
And so I was like, okay, this is something I need to look into. I talked to a few doctors about it. And again, this was, shoot, I don't know what year it was, 2016,
Okay.
maybe 17. I don't know exactly. I don't
Hmm.
remember those things. But back then, breast implant illness was still not really recognized. It
Mm,
was still like, I think you're kind
yeah.
of crazy. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
literally, that is what the implant doctor told me was that absolutely not. Implants do not make you sick. They're approved by the FDA,
Oh,
you know?
Lord.
Thanks
And
for the company line,
Thanks,
pal.
bud.
yeah, and I was like, okay. So I had more blood tests done, things like that. I tried to do my own research, but there wasn't a lot available. And one thing I found was about how like implants like an elbow implant or like a hip implant or like those type of implants your body can reject them
Mm,
and they have to be replaced. And that was
mm,
the only information I could find about your body not liking a foreign object. And so I
mm,
was
Okay.
mm.
like,
Hmm.
maybe it's that.
Maybe.
Maybe my
Yeah.
body's just like, these are not cool. Take them out.
Yeah.
And so I got to a point where I said, I have to have them out because I'm going crazy thinking I'm crazy
Yeah.
because the doctors are telling me that I'm fine. And
Yeah.
so I told my husband, at this point, I'm taking them out. I don't even
Yeah.
care if it's them. Like I won't know unless they're out.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I took them out and literally the next day I felt like $1,000,000.
Oh.
I
Wow.
mean, like to the point that I went outlet shopping with my mom
Wow.
the
The
Whoa.
next
day
day,
after.
like bandaged up, like
Everything.
shopping. Like I felt
That's
so
pretty
good.
insane.
And I had some residual detox things I had to do, but like the difference was so quick, night and day. Um, and so that's when I dove into more holistic stuff. And I was like, okay, like what else? How can I detox good? How can I get this foreign stuff out of my body?
Hmm.
Why did the implants make me sick? Right?
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, oh, you must have had silicone. I'm like, no, they were saline, but the shell is made out of silicone. So it doesn't matter
Yes.
what's inside them.
It
Like
doesn't matter.
your body's still gonna not love it, even if you don't have symptoms. Like I know all the girlies that might have implants listening to this. I know you don't want to hear that, but like
It's
it's
still a
still
foreign
toxic
object.
beings
Yeah.
that leach into your body. And maybe you don't have symptoms, and I pray you never do, but it's still going in there. So
Dang.
I did detoxing, I did all these things. And then, now we're like 6 more years later. I
Okay,
had my
wait.
son.
So I want to ask
Okay.
you a question. Now,
Yeah.
you got the breast implants for self-confidence. So what did it do when you got rid of them?
That's
Okay, so
good question.
before I took them out, I actually was like preparing for that. I
Hmm.
found a group on Facebook that had thousands of women that were dealing with breast implant illness and or had taken them
Okay.
out and the after effects. So I kind of knew like it's going to be different and I need to maybe
Okay.
do something
Yeah.
about this. Like I need to do some work. So
Yeah.
podcasts. Oh man, I dove into podcasts. I dove into books, like any self-help book that like I thought might resonate with me. I read it. Like, gosh, you should see my bookshelf. I have so many.
I believe
I'm
it.
like, I mean, Mel Robbins, Gabrielle
Hmm.
Bernstein, Tony Robbins. I'm like, oh my God, the names are not coming fast enough.
Yeah.
But like literally, like if you Google self-help author, like I've probably read their book or listened to an audio of it.
I just think it's
Um,
important that people know that like you could have spiraled after that.
Yeah.
Like you could have gone
Yeah.
off the deep end, like, oh my God,
yeah,
this is what made me feel good. And like instead, you were proactive and you took the time to like really work on this because that's
yeah,
what this is all about in the end anyway. It's just trying to figure out why we feel the way we feel. So
yeah.
To
proud of you
really
for that.
be a
Thank you.
part of your body and know what your body is saying to you
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think the biggest thing with like when you're working on your mindset and when you're working on your thoughts is that like it's not always perfect. Like I still have weird days where I'm like, ew,
Oh
my
yeah.
boobs, but
Yeah.
like
Same.
I feel like, I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, there's a spot right here on my cheek. What the heck? Like,
Right.
and it makes you feel off that day or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's a daily habit. Like I
Yeah.
still listen to podcasts, read books. Like I
Yep.
still journal every single day. I
Yep.
did like I wrote letters to my younger self. I wrote letters to my ex-boyfriend, like telling him what a jerk off he is and like all these
Healing,
things. Like,
healing goes on forever, guys. That's
yeah,
what we're
I
trying to
mean,
tell you.
yeah.
Everything, however you can make it
It's like
happen.
you heal from
Yeah.
one thing and then, oh, guess
Yeah.
what? Now I got to heal from
Yes.
this one.
I mean, like I burned them, but I had whole journals like about one topic, where I'm just
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
let
Let
it
it
all
out.
out.
That's kind of life. Okay,
Yeah. And
so you're jumping
yeah,
into holistic options now. Where are you at with the family? I think you had another one at this point,
yeah.
right?
So I kind of dove into holistic stuff again. I
Yep.
was already eating healthier. I was,
Yep.
utilizing some supplements and things like that. And my sister-in-law is like telling me all this stuff about, the hemp industry or
Yeah.
about trying these other options for mental health. And I was, I'm from California.
Right.
So
You're like,
even before it was legal, it was very
Deborah.
popular there.
you're
So
like, I already know the
um,
stuff. Okay.
yeah, I was kind of like, why would what?
Hmm.
Why
I
do I
got the
want a
real thing.
dropper? Like, I'll just get like a joint or something. Like,
Right, right.
I just didn't fully comprehend. But also, after having kids, my body had changed. Like I said, we used to party. I used to do a lot of street drugs and
Yep.
things like
Hmm.
that, including the smoking of that
Hmm.
stuff.
Yep.
Um, After having kids, like my body changed, and if I even like smell it, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to sleep now. So, like literally, or I'm like just like melted on the couch. And
Yeah.
people are like, oh, it's the strain and it's this and that. And like I fully believe in it for healing and as a medicine.
Yes.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, if I partake in it in the smoking manner, it knocks me out like every time.
That's
I'm just
funny.
so like still again, that could be good medicine if you're having trouble sleeping, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
so like I'm
There you
like
go.
keep that in the back pocket,
Yeah.
but so literally, I think it was a full year. Well, first she had me try something, and I tried like a drop, like a tincture,
Yeah.
and I was like, this didn't do anything. Like I think in like a day, literally like every hour, I took a whole
I
dropper
remember
and
you said that.
trying to
Oh,
like,
This is a different
and I'm
company,
like,
by the
yes,
way.
I do remember
yeah, it
that.
was a different company. So like every time I'm like, any minute it's gonna kick in, right? This
Mhm.
was kind of like a lot of my life experiences. I'm like, any second it's gonna work. Right. And so I'm just like, dropper. I think that day I literally drank the whole bottle and I was
And it
like,
did. It
I
did.
felt
Ooh.
nothing. I
Yeah.
was like, God, that's a lot of oil. Don't recommend it. It was on the toilet. Like, don't recommend that.
Oh,
Um,
It did
yeah, I don't,
something, but not the right thing.
yeah, not the right thing. Yeah, felt zero anxiety relief, felt zero brain help, like nothing. And
Yeah.
so when she's telling me, like a year later, she's like, I'm with this new company. You're gonna love it. You should try it. We have these capsules. I'm like, no,
no.
Yeah, girl.
no, done that, and I told her no for a solid year. Like a solid year. I think Ariel, like literally on their 1 year anniversary, right before is when I
Mhm.
finally was like, fine. I'll try it. Oh my God, just
I'll try
stop
it just to
talking to
get you.
me.
Shut up.
Well, right. I knew there was a happiness guarantee. I'm like, I'm going to try it. It's not going to work. I'm going to return it.
Yeah.
Done. You'll never talk to me again. Right. It'll
Yep.
be great. Um, Here I
But it
am
worked.
3 years
Hey.
later, 3 years later, still obsessed with the company, still obsessed with the products. And that's when I learned that like quality counts. Like,
Yes.
and
Yes.
this obviously goes into everything, your relationships, the food you put in your body, the time you spend with yourself, the supplements you're using, like everything, quality freaking counts. Like, I did the quantity side with the other kind and it
Mm-hmm.
didn't do nothing because the
Right.
quality wasn't there.
Quality. Yeah.
If I were to do that quantity of this quality, I would be, whoa, like that's way too much.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be on
I
your
would
ass.
definitely advise against that.
yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like you have to find what works. And I feel like I do that a lot. Like
Mm-hmm.
I pursue something that I'm passionate about. And when it doesn't work, I keep trying to like figure out new ways to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
I did that in negative ways before in
Yeah.
relationships and drugs and alcohol. And then when I started learning better self-care and talking better to myself and like, then I dove into that. Like I want to, I like journaling. Oh, I like podcasts. Ooh, I love listening to this person or whatever.
Yeah.
And like,
Huh.
I mean, I went on a Tony Robbins kick for like a whole year where like he's the only person I listened to. I went to his events. Like it was great.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, okay, that's great. Now what's another thing? Like let's try new things to just keep betting yourself. And
Yes.
that's kind of where I'm at with Ariel. Like anytime we have a new product, I'm like, I'm gonna try it. I want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
people are literally, I'm like, I have tried every product we have.
I
I
have
don't care
two.
what it is.
Almost everyone.
I've tried
Yes.
it. No,
Mm-hmm.
not almost. Like I have
I
literally
have
tried every
tried
product we
every
have.
single one
I don't
except for
think
the
I have.
dog treats. 'Cause I don't have a dog.
I tasted the dog tincture because he said it was food
That's what you
grade,
do.
like for humans, and
Yeah.
I was like, I want to see what this tastes like because
That's the
I
one I
smelled
haven't
it.
tried, but I'm
Yeah,
with you. I want to be the person that can like try something and tell them how it works too. But
yeah.
okay, so that was like the story that we were going to share. Now, some other stuff has happened to you. We were supposed to have
Yeah.
Kerri on here like a month ago, a month and a half. I don't remember where we're at in the timeline, but we were supposed to have her on and life kind of happened for her
Life
real
happens hard.
hard and real fast. So we don't have to make this like super long, but like I want to just have you give a nutshell of what's been going on in your life for the last couple months
Yeah.
or month or
Okay.
whatever.
Real life stuff.
Well, I think it's crazy because I feel like there's an accident, but before the accident, I feel like it was like a lead up to it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like God was preparing us.
Mm.
Universe, I'm not
Hmm.
like Bible religious, but I'm definitely
Right.
spiritual and
Yep.
believe in God.
Yes.
And I feel like I was being guided into certain things, and like it was a weird 3 months. And then boom, December 30th, my husband was in a motorcycle accident. And it was like one of those things that like completely rocks your world. And like, I feel like in any other situation, I probably would have freaking lost it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, but it's weird because I have experience with severe head trauma. My brother has been
Mm.
airlifted twice.
Oh, wow.
So like I've seen what happens when you hit your head really hard. I've seen what
Mhm.
happens when you're in the hospital, when your body knocks yourself out. I've seen people intubated. Like I've seen a lot of these things. So like seeing it with my husband was so weird because it was so scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was so calm and
Hmm.
like in my gut, like I kept hearing and like I feel like this is a God thing. Like I mean, I'm watching a helicopter land in the middle of my freeway and by my
Hmm.
house, and
Mm.
I'm like, kept hearing, it's okay. It's okay. Everything's okay. And I was
That's
like,
pretty
shut
big.
up. Everything is not okay.
Everything is not fucking okay. Everything is
And
as
like
far away from okay as it can be.
it literally felt so not okay, but like so okay. Like I felt like everything was gonna be okay. And I mean, he's alive. Like
Hmm.
if you had
Thank
seen
you.
them, if you
Yeah.
saw the motorcycle, if you saw the car, if you saw him right after,
Yeah.
like it was so it's so wild looking back. I'm like, oh my God, you survived that. Like how? I mean, he was in ICU. He was,
Yeah.
he had broken sternum, broken ribs. We found out later that he broke his jaw, two vertebrae. He had a
Mm.
collapsed lung, like all these fun things.
Fun.
And yeah, yeah, I know. I sound lighthearted about it, but again, like through it all, I knew it was going to be okay.
And that's kind
And
of what I wanted to ask is like how you feel like you got through it. Like what
a
kind of
lot
helped
of
you.
journaling, I stayed in the hospital with him. I am so grateful. I have amazing parents, and my husband's mom actually lives here too, and they live literally like
Nice.
I can throw a rock to my mother-in-law's house, and like my mom's like not even a mile.
I
So
love that you have that
they're
Support is
right
support.
here.
close.
Literally, when it happened, I called my mom. I'm like, I don't care what you're doing, but send dad to get the kids. Like, Daryl was in an accident. I'm going there. And she's like, okay, we're on our way. Like,
Yeah.
so like, I am so grateful that we have that.
Yeah.
So that I literally stayed in the hospital with him 6 days straight. I didn't leave. They brought me clothes. Like, I showered at the hospital. Like, I didn't leave.
Yeah.
And what got me through podcasts,
Yeah.
a book, journaling, going back to the things I know. My supplements, it's so funny. So I say I didn't leave, but I did actually come home for like an hour
Mm-hmm.
the first night because they were like, he's intubated. We have to take him, we have to extubate. We don't
Yeah.
want you here for that. It's awkward for
Yeah.
family members. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go home, get some stuff. And they were like, we highly encourage you to sleep. And I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
ain't
yeah.
sleeping.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sleeping until I get back here and I know he's okay, you know.
Mhm.
So I literally came home. I felt so on top of it too. You know, I had like zero sleep. This was like 3 in the morning and I hadn't slept all night, you know. I packed a bag. I literally laid down for 1 hour and I leave. I go back to the hospital and I felt like, oh, I grabbed all the stuff. I got deodorant. I got, toothbrush. I got a little makeup because that always makes me feel good. Like I got all the things I need. I get there. What did I have? Toothbrush, toothpaste, and my pink capsules for like calm mental health. And I'm like,
I don't know what was in my
okay.
brain when I packed.
I was like, clearly the essentials, clean mouth and chill vibes. Like we're good. And that's what got me through, good quality supplements that I love, habits that I've learned, journaling. Gosh, me and the big man had like some combos. I tell you what. And I was like, if you just like get us through this.
Yeah.
And I think it was my husband keeps out, not still necessarily, but in the beginning he was like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? And sometimes you never know exactly why, but I feel like there was so many reasons. Like he needed to slow down. He's been going working. I mean, that man gets up at 4:30 a.m. every day and was going to work and like trying to make, his dreams happen. He owns his own welding company.
Yep.
I'm grinding, we're doing all the things. We're kind of like separate living life, trying to make shit happen. And it was kind of like time to slow down.
Yeah.
Time to realize, you ever go through life and you're like, I like this person as a friend, but I don't know if they like me back. Like, right? You know that. And I think we kind of were slapped in the face with like, the people that love you. Stop questioning it, because our community came through for us. Like we had a GoFundMe that was like almost full in less than 24 hours.
Yes.
Ariel came through with a fundraiser for us, like through their nonprofit, like so many things that were just like, and I kept hearing, I told you it'd be okay. I told you it'd be okay, and I was like, stop it.
Shut up, I get it.
I know, I was like, I get it. But it kind of just made us really look at what we're doing, the negative habits that we might still be carrying and how we want to adjust moving forward, with our finances, with our choices, with our daily schedules, like time together, those type of things, time with our people that we love, and just kind of made us really reevaluate what we're doing and where we're going. And I think as crappy as it is that, I mean, he's still dealing with it. He's still in lots of pain, still healing bones, still can't work,
That's gonna be a
all
long
these
process.
Unfortunately, mentally he's like, I'm good to go. But then he tries to pick something up. He's like, just kidding. I can't lift that. I mean, he can't even lift our son and he's only 4, so it's rough, but I think in the long run, it's going to be okay. And
I want to ask one thing first before you go. Is the GoFundMe still up and operating, or is it done?
It's still up. I haven't really, it's one of those, like, I don't know.
I was wondering if you're still looking for support. You can say it.
I would
just
love
say
the pride in me wants to be like, no.
Yes, but look, this was a very, very traumatic accident and it knocked him out financially. He's the breadwinner. Like, let's be real. This is facts. So I want to throw it out to whoever's listening. I will be putting the GoFundMe in the show notes. If you want to donate anything, I mean,
if you have a huge heart, help out huge if you can.
Okay, what was your last question to wrap this up?
I would say, okay, because I saw Kerri getting all teary, so stop doing that, because then my eyes start doing the leaking thing.
I know.
But I would say we love, love, love ending or throwing out very, very palpable and obvious things for them to do. If someone is listening to this and they're like at your step one and they prefer not to have this violent reminder from the universe that they need to slow down, what is one of the first steps or few steps that you would suggest to them that they could start that's a tiny piece? Dawn and I
Like a
work on
1%
1%
change.
changes.
Yeah.
So what's one thing they can include tomorrow?
I would switch your morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and this includes, I used to listen to music when I would get ready in the morning.
Okay.
And then I started actually listening to like the lyrics to some of the music, and I was like, this is
Yeah.
really degrading if you
Yeah.
think of it. Like, I like the beat. I'm like, oh yeah. And then I'm
Right.
like, he's talking about like bitches and hoes. Like, how
Yeah.
is this positive? Maybe I should change this up. So like, even something that simple, like change the music you're listening to or switch it to a positive podcast. Like, we don't always have an environment that is like, you're awesome. You're
Yes.
going to do amazing things. Look at you. You look so cute today. Like, we don't always have people in our lives telling us that, and not to their fault. It's just that's
Right.
reality. You go
Yeah.
to work and your boss isn't like, hey, champ, you're the best. Like, that's
Yes.
not always.
You have to learn how to do it yourself.
Yeah, pour it into your ears as
Yeah.
often as you can. I mean, my kids for years were listening to podcasts from Tony Robbins on the way to school. Like, that's just how it went
I love
because
that.
mom needed it.
No, but I
Yeah.
love that. You're instilling that in them right now.
You
Yeah.
established that as a standard. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely that, change what's going in. And then if you have a lot rattling on up there, get it out. Paper and pen,
Yes.
audio works, and you can always delete, you can always burn, you can
Yes.
always
Yes.
get rid of these things. If you're like, I don't need it, like just
Some
burn
of
it.
us make a really good living at just putting that out online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
words and thoughts that are
You
theirs.
got to get it out. Every single person that we've had on this episode or on these podcasts have said the same thing, where it's like, as soon as
Yes.
you just, you say it, you're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, it's gone.
I
It
feel
doesn't
so much
have to be
better.
anymore. Like, we all just hold on to this stuff because we're so afraid of what people are going to say. And it's like, if you would just let it out, oh my God, your body can feel free again.
Oh, yes. And I think that's so wild because I didn't really start sharing a lot of my like traumas or hurts on social media for a long time because I didn't want to be judged.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the second I did, I realized I'm not alone.
No.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, I think that we all go through life thinking that everything we're dealing with, like, I'm alone. Even
Yep.
like my husband's accident, it feels so isolating sometimes until you talk to people and they're like, oh, yeah, my husband went through that. Or,
Mhm.
and it could be anything. Like,
Yeah.
we've all stubbed our toe, right?
Yes.
Like, we all have these
We've
similar
all done the same,
experiences.
a lot of the same things.
And like, we always hide it like it's some
Yeah.
shameful thing, but like, literally, we're all going through it. So,
Yes.
the more
Yes.
that you talk about it, even if you just talk about it with people in confidence, but like getting it out is like, so vital. I feel like the enemy just really tries to tear us apart from the inside out. And so if you keep it in there, that's all it's going to do is tear you apart.
I think the theme that we could wrap this up with, and maybe it'll be a title of some sort, is that you need to learn to love yourself before you can do anything else.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It starts with you. It has to.
Yeah.
Oh my
Carrie,
God.
any last words for the people?
I don't know. I like
She's like, I just love you.
I'm like, I think last words would be just start. Like,
Yep.
it doesn't matter what trauma you have. It doesn't matter how long it's been. It doesn't matter how like far gone you feel like you are. Like, just take the steps, like one day at a time. And like,
Yes.
it's totally freaking worth it.
Yes.
I just found the little clip that I'm going to start this with. That was it. That was absolutely it.
Carrie, we
I
love
love it.
you. We're
Oh.
so
I love
thankful
you
that you
guys.
took the time to share this. I
Yes.
know that it's going to change lives. And we'll put Carrie's socials down there and the GoFundMe and everything in the show notes. So if you want to reach out to her and talk to her more about it,
Yes.
I think that's it. So hang on before we do the last thing. We'll go 3, 2, 1, and then we'll say bye, buddies. And you can say it with us if you want to. So
Okay.
3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
Bye, buddies.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right. Now
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna
That
stop
was
the
fun.
recording there.